Hello everyone, teachers and fellow school heads in the Department of Education, especially to the teachers and school heads of Lapuyan District, Division of Zamboanga del Sur, Region 9. I am Joel Jr. C. De Lieva, Principal of Pampang Elementary School, and in this video, I'm gonna show you the guides and the steps in using the E-IPCRF or the Electronic Individual Performance Commitment and Review Form for this school year 2020-2021. It is the end of the school year and we are on the phase of rating the performance of the teachers using the IPCRF. But of course, in doing this, the teachers must submit the MOVs included in their portfolio for rating. Kaya, let me show you the steps on how to do it. So I guess we are already with the tutorial for the accomplishing of our E-IPCRF tool for 2020-2021. So of course, this is an electronic accomplishment of the individual performance, commitment, and review form for this school year. So this will be utilized by our school heads in rating the portfolio of our teachers 1 to 3 and of course our master teachers 1 to 4. And this will also be guide for all the teachers in accomplishing the different parts of the E-IPCRF tool. Of course, I am using the guide on the use of the E-IPCRF tool for school year 2020-2021, which is in Annex A of the attachment to DMPHROD 2021-0498. So I guess we should start with the step-by-step guidelines in the use of this E-IPCRF tool. So in the annex, we can see different steps. So we will start with, so step 1 is just open the DepEd prescribed IPCRF parts 1 to 4 school year 2020-2021 using the MS or Microsoft Excel file. So in the event that you have already downloaded the file which is named DepEd prescribed IPCRF parts 1 to 4 school year 2020-2021, you have to open that in your MS Excel file. Next thing is you have to enable the macros, which is the step number 2. You have to click enable editing and enable content. Kasi iba-iba yung MS Excel file natin. What's this? The version of your MS Excel file. Note that the process of enabling macros may differ in different versions of MS Excel. So some of you probably are making or having the version of 2013, some 2019, or ano pa yung versions ninyo. So we have different versions. Pero I guess all of us have these updated versions of the MS Excel file. Okay, next. Okay, the number 3 is in the encoding tab, accomplish part 1, starting with the field for teacher, division, and school information. So, sino yung gagawa nito? Because the rating of the teachers after the portfolio has been reviewed by the school head, of course, si school head yung gagawa nito, yung mag-accomplish ng data na ito. Of course, from the teachers, the data of our teachers. So, merong note dito that we have to read the instructions carefully. That is very basic para yung data na ilalagay natin ay correct and accurate, of course. And then, you enter the needed information by either typing it in the empty cells or by clicking the drop-down arrow and selecting the demographic information applicable to you. So, meron dyang mga fields na merong drop-down arrow para pagpipilian, or else you have to really type the information needed. So, ito yung field na kailangan nating i-fill in. Okay, let's have this step number 4, which is continue accomplishing part 1 appropriate to your position in the encoding tab. Of course, so depende sa posisyon or the position of the teacher yung ini-encode natin. Kasi mag-iiba yung fields, especially in rating, kung yung position nyo ay teacher 1 to 3 or else master teachers 1 to 4. So encode the COT rating per observation period by doing the following steps. So these are the steps in encoding the COT rating. Of course, this is just a review that meron tayong dalawang COT rating na kailangang isubmit ng teachers sa school head, and that would be part of the portfolio. So number 1 is you select the subject or discipline related to your subject for COT. So kung meron dyan, meron pagpipilian dyan kung if you have demonstrated in your classroom observation English, then you have to click or to choose English. Input the COT rating per objective. Kasi meron tayong 3 observable, classroom observable indicators. So tatlo lang yang pwedeng i-entryhan natin ng rating. So based doon sa COT rating sheet. Encode date of observation. So after encoding the COT rating, then you have to encode the date of observation. Saan niyo makikita? Doon pa rin sa COT rating sheet. And then click lock COT button once finished. So kung tapos na kayo, you have already selected the subject, input the COT rating or else, and then encode the date of observation. That's the time you have to lock the COT button once finished. And then provide a single password for COT 1 to 2 to protect your data. So ito yung password ng school head to lock the COT. Okay, so you have to encode. The rater must enter password minimum 6 characters with which to lock the file. Certain actions will henceforth require you to enter the password you input here to proceed. So, twice po tayong mag-encode ng ating password. Sa annex po ay meron po tayong additional reminders. So, meron tayong reminders dito included in the attachment. So, we have here number 1. There are only 2 classroom observations for school year 2020-2021. Yung sinabi ko kanina, and that's meron din po tayong memorandum for that. Hence, ratees should only submit 2 classroom observation tool or COT rating sheets or inter-observer agreement forms as MOV for objectives that require such. If no COT was submitted and the ratee was not able to provide a valid reason for non-submission, the default CO2 score will be a 3, which is the lowest rating. Kasi sa COT natin, lowest rating natin ay 3. So default yan ay 3 kung walang COT na nasubmit ng teacher. In case the ratee has a valid reason for submitting only 1 COT rating sheet, the final rating shall be the COT1 rating. So, kasi meron dyan sa COT2, meron dyan, if you choose the subjects, meron sa huli na merong no second COT with valid reason. It shall be within the discretion of the rater. Sino yung rater? Yung school head natin or any other persons na rater ng teacher, to allow or disallow the submission of a COT2, depending on whether the reasons for non-submission is valid or not. So sila pa rin yung magva-validate kung i-allow ba talaga or disallow yung reasons ng teacher for the non-submission of the COT2 rating. I hope so na wala naman tayong teachers dyan na walang COT2. Okay, next. Finish accomplishing part 1 of the encoding tab. Encode all other IPCRF numerical ratings for quality, efficiency, and timeliness. So after you have encoded all the COT ratings, that's the time, doon naman tayo sa ibang indicators na nag-require ng rating natin sa quality. Meron ding nag-require ng efficiency at saka yung timeliness. Okay? So, encode ng school head or ng rater yung scores ng teacher upon presenting the portfolio. Base sa mga means of verifications na nasubmit ng teacher na included sa kanyang portfolio. And then after that, after the school head or the rater has encoded all the other ratings, that's the time, the next thing is to input name and position of approving authority. So, depende yan sa memo ng division office. It could be yung approving authority sa division or else sa public schools, district supervisor or any other persons na ilalagay dyan sa approving authority. Next is when COT and QET ratings are encoded and checked to its accuracy, kung lahat ng yon ay na-encode na ng school head, then it's the time to click the finalize part 1. So, kasi yung part 1 natin is encoding the ratings of the teacher. Provide the same password, yung password na nailagay mo kanina during the locking of the COT. So, yun pa rin yung password na ilalagay natin or i-input kasi yung password ng school head. And then click go, then click OK in the dialog box that will appear. And then give the file copy to the teacher concerned who then accomplishes part 2 in the encoding tab and his or her development plan in the part 4 sheet of the file. So, after nating ma-encode mga school heads ng rating ng teacher, that's the time after lahat ng process, after inputting all the ratings and then na-lock na natin yung, or na-finalize na natin part 1, then ibibigay natin yung file sa ating teachers para mag-encode naman sila sa part 2 at saka part 4. Ano yung part 2? These are yung competencies and then part 4 yung development plan. Okay, step 6 po tayo. Answer the core behavioral competencies or the part 2 of the encoding tab. Sino naman ang gagawa nito? Again, yung mga teachers natin. So, after part 1, yung part 2 ay i-accomplish ng teacher kasi ito yung core behavioral competencies. So, ito yung process. You tick the box of the behavioral indicators that you demonstrated during the performance cycle. So, depende ng teacher yung assessment niya kung nagawa niya itong mga behavioral indicators. And then, click Finalize Part 2 when you are done to save your data. The same pa rin yun. And then, supply a password to further protect your data and then click OK. So, yung password dito ay password na ng teacher natin. Okay, step 7. You have to view IPCRF Part 1 to 3 sheets. After step 6, the results of all encoding done in the encoding tab appear in parts 1 to 3 sheets. Check on all contents of these sheets. These sheets are protected from any editing. So, protected kasi meron tayong password. Kasi ito na yung finalized na sheets. Okay, makikita natin dun yung score natin based sa rating na ibinigay ng school head at saka yung rating natin sa competencies, yung part 2, and then the summary of ratings for discussion. Then let's have step 8. We have to update your development plan in the part 4 sheet. At sinong gagawa nito? It's the teachers. Si teacher po yung gagawa ng development plan based sa mga ratings at saka yung result ng core behavioral competencies. This sheet is not protected from any editing. You may add rows if necessary. Kung marami ka pang ilalagay dito sa part na ito, then you can add rows if necessary. Click Finalize Part 4 if done. So, tapos ka nang gumawa ng Part 4 mo, yung development plans, then you have to click Finalize Part 4. Then supply the same password as the one used to finalize part 2 of the encoding tab. The same password ng teacher sa kanyang part 2 ay i-input din ng teacher dito. Click go, then okay. Then let's have the step 9, which is the print parts 1 to 4. Kasi lahat natapos na, part 1 to 4, then it's time for us to print the form. Print parts 1 to 4. You have to click that, and then the teacher must ensure his or her computer is connected to the printer using the file and print option in MS Excel. He or she must print all the pages of this form, complete all required signatures, and submit to the personal division of the school to be attached to his or her 201 personnel file. So kung lahat na natapos na lahat, then you can print that. Then let's have step 10. Submit the soft copy of the IPCRF electronic form to your rater or school head for the school-wide consolidation. Use the following format in naming the file. So ito yung format ng ating file. DepEd Prescribed IPCRF Parts 1 to 4, School Year 2020-2021, Level, and then hyphen teacher's surname, hyphen another, the name or the first name of the teacher. So, tandaan po natin yung format na yan. So, that's the end of the presentation on the guides of accomplishing the E-IPCRF tool for 2020-2021. And I'm going to show you the actual template of this E-IPCRF tool for your guidance. So, ito na po yung ating file ng DepEd Prescribed IPCRF Parts 1 to 4. As you can see, na-open ko na po from the file that I have in my computer sa laptop ko po. So, actually, in the first time mo pa lang pag-open ng file na ito, merong lalabas dito na enable content or enable macros or enable editing. So, dapat you have to click that first para makapag-edit ka or makapag-entry ka ng form na ito. So, in the encoding tab, ito yon, meron tayong 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tabs in this file. So, ang unang tab is the encoding tab. Then, next is the part 1, proficient. Kasi proficient, this is only for teachers 1 to 3. Special Education Teacher 1 to 4, Special Science Teacher 1 to 2. And then meron din tayong Part 2 tab, which is the Competencies tab. Then Part 3, yung summary sheet, at saka yung Part 4, yung Development Plans. Pero ito, magkakalaman lang po ito after you are done with the encoding tab. So meron dyan, Part 1, Individual Performance Commitment and Review Form. Meron tayong privacy notice, merong instructions, yung sinabi ko kanina, yung I have shown to you, yung mga steps doon. So, yun lang talaga yung mga instructions. So, let me show you yung kailangan natin, yung fields na kailangan nating i-fill in sa ating DepEd Prescribed IPCRF. So, unang-una po, yung name of employee. So, ang ating format dyan po ay all caps. So, all capital letters po. Last name, first name, then middle initial. So, let's say for example, if we have this name, and the next position po, so merong pagpipilian dyan, teacher 1 to 3, instructor 1 to, SPET 1 to 5, master teacher 1 to 4, Special Science Teacher 1 to 5. So, let's say for example, pipiliin ko po Teacher 1 kasi Teacher 1 po yung nire-rate ko. In the event na yung na-rate ng school head ay Master Teacher, then i-click po yung Master Teacher. So, as you can see, kapag na-click mo yung Master Teacher 1, nag-iiba yung color. Naging blue kasi iba na rin yung MOVs na sinasubmit nila. So, pero yung default natin ay green kasi teacher 1, 2, 3. So, let's say for example, let's go back sa teacher 1. So next dyan ay employee ID number. Let's say for example 0 lang po. Employment status, regular, permanent, provisional, substitute, or contractual. So I will click regular, permanent. Yung age natin, bali merong age range tayo. So let's say for example, 30 years old si teacher, then I will click 25 to 30. Then sex, drop down pa rin, male or female. And then level taught. As you can see, if you click level taught, wala po siyang options sa drop down. So how can you do this? First, you have to click first this curricular classification. Kasi walang laman yan if you cannot click or change the curricular classification. So first of all, you have to click curricular classification. So let's say for example, kinder to grade 6 ba yung school ninyo? Meron din dito yung high school. So you just click the curricular classification. In my case, so kinder to grade 6 po tayo. So level taught, meron na po siyang laman kasi naklik ko na yung pong kinder to grade 6. So in that case, kung si teacher ay elementary teacher, then I will click elementary. Grade level taught, let's say, suppose grade 1 po si teacher. And then subject taught ay all subjects. Kasi sa elementary po, general subjects lahat ng yung tiniteach ni teacher. And the next thing is the rater. So the same format pa rin, all capitals pa rin. So let's say for example, Rizal, Jose, P. And then position ni school head or ni rater, merong EPS, merong specialist, merong PSDS, principal at saka assistant principal, meron ding head teacher dito, master teacher. Kasi si master teacher pwede ding maging rater ni teacher in the event na malaki yung school. So let's say for example, principal 1, kasi principal 1 po tayo. So yun yung i-click natin. Ang date of review, the same format pa rin. Yung format natin ay year, month, and date. And then number of years in teaching ni teacher. So suppose 5 years na siya sa profession, then i-click natin yung 4 to 10 years. Highest degree obtained, bachelor's degree, area of specialization, suppose English po si teacher. And then meron din dito region. So piliin lamang kung anong region po kayo. And then I will click lang po yung region 9 kasi region 9 po tayo. Division, kung maklik nyo na po yung region ninyo, yung lalabas na division ay based ng division na nasa region na naklik ninyo. Sige. So for example, sa amin, Zamboanga del Sur, ang district or municipality dapat i-encode natin. Suppose if we have Lapuyan, kasi Lapuyan yung munisipyo namin. And then encode the school ID, the school name, and then the school type, it could be rural or urban. And then school size, small, medium, large, very large, or large. So, sa amin, ito yung case. So, pag tatapos na yan, then that's the time pwede nang mag-rate si school head or maglagay o mag-encode ng rating. So, first and foremost, dito muna tayo sa COT1 rating. So, meron dyang mga subjects na pwedeng i-click ni school head or ni rater based sa nasubmit na COT rating. Suppose if I have yung si teacher ay nagsubmit ng mathematics, then I will click mathematics and then give or encode the rating. Not give, but encode the rating kasi meron ng rating na nasa COT rating. Suppose si teacher ay may rating na 6 sa objective 1, meron din sa objective 5 na 5 and 7 sa objective 7. Take note, tatlo lang po yung lalagyan natin ng rating. Tatlo lang din po yung malalagyan kasi yun lang yung pong available. Kapag na-encode na po yung rating, automatically na po na mag-transmute na yan sa RPMS 5-point scale. So, the thing that you need to do is just to encode the COT rating. After ma-encode na yan, then you have to input the date of serve. So, the same pa rin yung format, year, month, and date. So, pagkatapos na nating mailagay yung rating at saka yung date of serve, we will have to lock the COT1. Actually, pag-click mo yung lock COT1, meron pong lalabas na meron tayong field doon na dalawa yon kasi na-save kasi ito. So, you have to input the rater's password required. And then, you have to click Go. So, nalock na po yan. After that, you have to encode the rating sa COT2. Sa COT2 naman, the same yung mga subjects na pagpipilian. Pero, meron siyang, ano dito, no second CO with valid reason. So, meron siyang another option. Especially if meron si teacher, walang COT2 na nasabi si teacher, but with valid reason. Take note, si rater or si school head can allow or disallow based sa ating guidelines. So, suppose si teacher meron siyang MTBMLE, yung COT2 niya. So, with the ratings of this, and then after that, kung natapos na ma-encode yung rating, and then the same thing, yung date, observe. And then after that, you have to lock that using the same password of the rater. And then you click go. So, after po natin ma-encode yung COT1 at saka COT2 rating, that's the time we have to encode the IPCRF numerical rating. So, ito yun. Suppose if I have already encoded this IPCRF rating, saan yan magbabase? Based sa mga MOVs na ibinigay ni teacher, yung rating natin dito. And then, it will automatically compute the score, the average, the score, the adjectival rating, of course, the final rating. So, after that, you have to encode the approving authority. Let's say, the same format pa rin natin sa mga names. Suppose if we have this approving authority. And then, of course, the position of approving authority, either SDS, ASDS, CID chief, EPS, principal, any other mga approving authority. Suppose if we have schools division superintendent. And then after that, meron tayong note dito. When COT and QAT ratings are finalized, are done, click finalize part 1. Give the file copy to the teacher concerned. The teacher shall accomplish parts 2 and 4. So matapos yan, we have to click finalize part 1. So required pa rin yung password ni rater. And then you have to click go. So, if you have clicked that, so mag-iiba yung color ng field, nagiging pink na kasi na-save na yung data na input. So, ang instruction dyan, pagkatapos ma-finalize natin, ibibigay natin, as school head, ibibigay natin kay teacher yung file natin para mag-encode sila ng core behavioral competencies at saka yung part 4. So, ito naman yung part 2. Actually, yung part 2 nasa encoding tab pa rin. So, let's say for example, I'm the teacher. So, ako yung binigyan ni school head ng file. So, I will encode or click the boxes na kung saan ang competency na demonstrate ko within or during the performance cycle. So, let's say for example, meron self-management. I will click this competencies. We have professionalism and ethics. And then results focus. And then teamwork. So suppose I have done that. Service orientation, dalawa lang po. Innovation, dalawa din. Then, kung matapos ko na yun, of course, babasahin ko din ito as a teacher. And then, merong note dito, click finalize part 2 to save your data. You can now proceed to the preparation of the part 4 development plan based on the results of part 1 and part 2 of the IPCRF. So, kung okay na yun, natapos na yun ni teacher, i-click niya lang yung finalize part 2. Actually, meron dito yung the first time you have clicked that, yung si teacher, meron pink na button dito na maglalagay ng rate's password and then confirm password. For in this case, kasi parang na pre-save ko na ito, then I will input the password of Rati as the teacher. And then after that, click go. So, the same pa rin, mag-iiba yung color, magiging pink, and then masasabi dito, success, your data has been saved. And then click OK. So, with that, natapos na po tayo sa encoding part. And then, we will view yung mga data na ating na-encode sa part 1 proficient. As you can see, meron ng mga information na na-fill in, especially yung rating natin, and then yung mga signatories. And then part 2, of course, natapos na ni teacher yung part 2, then lalabas din yung score. Ang part 3 naman, yung summary sheet. So, malalabas din yan, yung final rating at saka adjectival rating with the signatories. Sa part 4 naman, hindi pa ito na-finalize si teacher. So, the next thing niya, pagkatapos niya sa part 2, pagkatapos niya ma-finalize, eto na yung gagawin niya, yung part 4, or this is the development plans. So, ang nasa development plans, merong note dito, this sheet shall be accomplished during phase 1, performance planning and commitment based on the results of ESAT, yung beginning, and 2, the phase 2 performance monitoring and coaching based on the agreements on the performance monitoring and coaching form and media review form. And this time, yung part 4, phase 4 rather, performance rewarding and development planning based on the actual results of the IPCRF. Pero this time kasi natapos na tayo yung rating natin at saka yung competencies natin. So, dun yung babasehan natin. So, we have here the strengths, the development needs, our action plan. We have the learning objectives and intervention, timeline, and then resources needed. So, of course, meron tayong part A, yung functional competency. Saan yan kukuha tayo? Doon sa ating rating sa ating IPCRF. So, kung saan doon yung strength natin, yung malaki yung points natin, yung development needs natin, yung competency na, rather indicator or objective na kailangan tayong mag-develop. Then, based on that development needs that we have, ano yung gagawin nating action plan? So, ano yung learning objective, and then intervention para ma-develop natin yung needs natin. Kailan natin gagawin? Of course, that could possibly next year or next school year, and then resources needed. It could be financial, it could be human resource that we need. And then sa B naman, yung core behavioral competencies, base yun yung sa score natin sa core behavioral competencies. The same pa rin yung strength, development needs, yung action plan natin, timeline, resources needed. And then feedback, our feedback on that. And then itong meron din dito yung mga signatories. Note, meron note again, when all parts of the IPCRF are accomplished, the ratee must submit the file copy of his or her IPCRF electronic form to the department head or school head for the school-wide consolidation. He or she must print all the pages of this form and submit to the personnel division of the school to be attached to his or her 201 personal file. So, kung natapos na lang lahat, na-entry nyo na po yung part 4, then that's the time you click finalize part 4. And then, ang password na kailangan ay password ni teacher. And then, click go. So, meron na siya finalized. Part 4 has been locked and finalized. Then, after that, you can now print parts 1 to 4. So, of course, make it sure na nakakonect yung laptop or computer ninyo sa printer para makapag-print kayo agad-agad. So, in this case, wala kasing nakakonect na printer natin. And then, after that, na-print na natin, assign natin sa ratee kasi tayo yung teacher, ipapasay natin sa rater and then sa approving authority. And that's the time we will submit that to our school head for the consolidation. Okay, ganun lang po kadali. So, I hope that this tutorial that I have done make yourself easy for accomplishing this DepEd prescribed IPCRF kasi ito yung kailangan natin gawin for this end of school year. And that's it, fellow teachers and school heads. I hope that this video helps you accomplish the IPCRF in your respective schools and give rating that our teachers deserve. Again, this is Joel Jr. C. De Lieva saying thank you so much for watching and God bless us all.